Say hello in the chat, ask questions, and feel free to use super chats if there's anything that you want to see highlighted. Thank you for being here and being a part of this journey. Let's keep it positive and respectful as we connect and grow together. I can't wait to get started. Good morning and welcome to Sunday morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. How are you? What a fabulous, beautiful, fantastic Sunday morning. Joining each and every one of you here this morning with me. I am super excited to be here today. Boy, do we got a lot to cover today. It's going to be a fantastic episode for those of you watching live with me right now, as well as those watching the replay. So one thing that I want to talk about this morning, I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially as this community continues to grow, okay? More people start paying attention to spaces like keto, carnivore, proper human diet, and other similar lifestyles, right? So there's this tendency in our space to spend a lot of time talking about things like being targeted, shadow banned, censored, attacked by the algorithm, all these things. And honestly, I don't think that's a productive place for us to spend too much, if any, time, right? I don't think that that is a place for creators to really talk about with their audience. That is kind of a behind-the-scenes thing, in my opinion. Because what does an audience show up for? An audience shows up for the discussions that we have, the support, the nuance, the information that is relevant. Okay, so, and I understand, right, that we are still somewhat a fringe, kind of like we are, I should say, on the fringe, right, compared to mainstream nutrition. Sure, we're living lifestyles that aren't backed by major health organizations. Quite the opposite, quite the contrary. We are, for all intents and purposes, a rebel community, right? We are bucking the system. And naturally, that's going to create skepticism and resistance, right? On the best of days, from those on the outside of the community. Again, we often get locked in, and we have to ask ourselves, and kind of give pause and ask ourselves an important question: what matters more, right? Our message or the idea that someone is trying to silence us? Because we have to, I should say, because if we look around, because there's people like Dr. Ken Berry and many other in the space have millions of followers and a massive reach. Clearly, these ideas are spreading. Clearly, people are listening. So, and honestly, I think we do ourselves a disservice when we focus on the conspiracies. Now, there are places, we do discuss the conspiracies that have happened in the past. We have to look at how Procter & Gamble, kind of created that space with the American Heart Association and seed oils and all these things. Again, even that should be at a minimum because, again, the average person doesn't care. It's not even in their day-to-day thinking. They don't care. And that's not going to be the thing that turns them. That's not going to be the thing that goes, oh, so I've been eating wrong this whole time, and it's going to be Procter & Gamble's, conspiracy that changes their mind? Most likely not. Okay? Because the most powerful thing that we have isn't some hidden truth. It's not the conspiracy. It's not the cover-ups. It's not all of the deep rabbit hole things that most of us have probably been down. It's our lived experience. It's people in our lives watching us lose weight, regain energy, improve our relationships with food, become more active, more engaged, more alive. That's what changes minds. That's what gets people curious. That's what gets people asking us questions. Not us going on about algorithms and making ourselves sound persecuted before we've ever explained what we've actually accomplished. We have to remember that the real goal of this community is helping people who are not yet here while supporting the people who already are. We have a fantastic community full of amazing people and even more amazing stories. Countless, thousands and thousands of amazing stories. Those should be the focus. And we do that by being approachable, by blending into everyday life, by showing that this lifestyle can fit into a normal human existence. That what we do isn't weird, that what we do isn't extreme, that we can function day to day like everybody else. Just, we don't go to fast food restaurants as often. We don't go out to eat as often, but we can still function in normal society. We can go to functions. We can say no to things. We have to know how to say no to things. We have to be polite and not so curt and not so direct to the point that we hurt people's feelings. Because when we start hurting people's feelings and we start being rude, people shut down. Because I think we get so caught up arguing over the fine print, again, like what Joe and Rachel say, picking pepper out of poop, that we forget what we're doing here in the first place. And more to the point, I have something else. I alluded to this if you saw one of my posts last night about today, about something that we are going to be discussing today. I'm excited, super excited, because I get to showcase something with limited information. Because, again, I may or may not have something sitting next to me. I do. I have this right here, okay? I have this. It's an electrolyte beverage. And I can't say the flavor, okay? Because it hasn't been released yet, but they are doing something a little different. They're kind of having us throw out some hints, throw out some, a little bit of information to get people kind of excited that there's a new flavor coming. But y'all are smarter than salty things, right? But if I accidentally say the flavor, I don't know, Chris might send Liam Neeson after me or something. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to behave myself here. But I will say, y'all better set some reminders for May the 20th, okay? That's all I'm saying. Drop some guesses in the comments. And if you already know, no spoilers, because I know some of you probably have some of this sitting at your house right now, whether you've tried it or not, but don't ruin it for everyone else. So let me go ahead and try this out. I haven't tried it yet. I've been waiting for the release, and I figured, they want us to play a little game. Let's play some games. Would you like to play a game? Yes, I would, especially if it tastes good. So let's see what we've got here. Mystery flavor. Oh, it smells delicious. Oh, let's see. My problem is I haven't quite figured out how to start giving hints without giving it all away. This is one of those flavors that the hints give it away. Does that make sense? Because I can't even say the state that it's from, because Florida's got oranges. If I said this state, you'd be like, I know exactly what that is. So let me go ahead and try this out. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm very parched. I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. The taste and the smell do not line up. It's a more natural flavor than the smell would allude to. It's very good. Yes, Evelyn, it's Idaho potatoes. The new flavor is called Spud McKenzie. Anyway. No relation. Anyway, it's very good. It's actually very refreshing. It's not grape, so it's not the best flavor that they've ever released. I mean, grape is top tier, the echelon. They should have dropped the mic and walked away, but I digress. It is a summer fruit. Aren't most fruits summer fruits? What grows in the wintertime? Icicles? But yes, this is a delicious summer beverage. Because, I mean, I imagine summer you were going to like it, and summer you were not going to. All right. There we go. There we go. New salty flavor with limited information, because I don't know what I should say, what I can't say, what I shouldn't say, because I don't want to give it away. But be excited. Be very excited. There we go. That's that for right now, okay? Okay. I'm going to scroll back to some other information here for myself. All right. But yeah, like, I think we need to make sure that we're not losing sight of the big picture. You know what I'm saying? It's not Granny Apple. Granny Apple's pretty awesome too. It is a fruit. Yes, it's a fruit. I don't know what else it could be besides a fruit. It's not a coffee flavor. It would be a very, yes, it's Wisconsin cheese curds. Everybody, Evelyn guessed it. Amy knows. She's keeping her mouth shut. All right. I mean, everybody knows that Evelyn is here. Good morning, my dear. How are you? Fantastic, I hope. And Brian Dish is here. Welcome, sir. Glad to see you. Evelyn needs coffee, and so do I. How about that? Yes. Oh, yeah. That's delicious, everybody. Yes. Mr. Googahan is in the house. Hello, good morning, my friend. How are you? You've got a new profile picture. You're looking very svelte sitting there on your couch with your coffee. Look at you, sir. Look at you. I love it. Good morning. He says, I recently got a waffle iron and considering making some keto chow waffles this morning. Well, what do you know about that? Sounds fantastic. Sounds wonderful and glorious and all the things, right? Maybe you should try one of my waffles. See if you like that. See what you think about them apples. United Carnivore is here. I haven't seen you in a good long time, my friend. How are you? Welcome, friend. It's been a while. It's been a long while since I've seen you here in this live. Sean Bradley is here. There's my good buddy, Sean. How are you and Shell? I hope you're both doing wonderful. Thank you so very much. Isabel is here. Good morning, Isabel. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing? And Brian is here. Good morning, gang. Workout done, in the sauna to warm down. Look at Brian doing the damn thing. Look at that. I need to hang out at Brian's house. He's got a sauna. I need friends with amenities. You know what I mean? It's like friends with benefits. I need friends with amenities. I need a sauna. I need to build a sauna in the garage. Just hot. 220 degree sauna or whatever, like the top end is, like one of those hot ones, hot boys. And I need a cold plunge. I want a cold plunge. I want all the things. Okay. I have aspirations well above my pay grade. Okay. I want a sauna. I want a cold plunge. I want a hot tub. Everyone's like, hot tubs are gross. Well, you know what? They're comfortable and they're nice. It's like people talk about not using hotel like hot tubs and all that stuff. Like, never get in the hot tub. And I'm like, when we were on vacation in October, one of the best things that Shannon and I did is on the 14th floor of the condo where we stayed, they had an adults only floor. I mean, it means there was no children running around. There was no hanky panky pineapple stuff going on. But I mean, it was adults only. Don't get any ideas, but that's where the saunas were. That's where there was a couple of hot tubs, bigger hot tubs. But the thing about the hot tubs there is you could sit and you faced the sunset. So you could watch the sunset over the ocean. And it was beautiful. I mean, granted, it was October, so it really wasn't setting over the ocean. It was kind of sitting behind some buildings, but hey, the ocean was there. You could see it, the Gulf. It was glorious. But we sat in a hot tub just for that. And it was good. Maritza is here. Good morning, dear. How are you? All the way from Viva Las Vegas. And Smoothie is here. People of Earth. Good Sunday morning. Yes, people of Earth. Earth. The trailer park of the universe. Man, oh man, oh man. We're like one of those roadside attractions of the universe. We're like, and on your left-hand side is Earth. Lock your doors. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Mr. Jeff Fultz is in the house. Hello. Good morning. Waiting patiently. Twiddling thumbs. The wait is over. I am here. I hope I live up to your expectations. I do. I do hope that I live up to your expectations. Bacon Runner Donna Ray is in the house. She was showing off her guns the other day. She was like, bow, bow. And I was like, what? And she's like, I don't have muscles. And I'm like, bruh. Get out of here with that nonsense. She is of an age where the muscles that she has, she could whoop up everybody else. And Sean says, I set up my appointment through Own Your Labs for LabCorp tomorrow to get my full thyroid panel checked, and I should have the results on Tuesday. Yes. Own Your Labs is a fantastic place. I have not yet actually used them myself, but just perusing the options, they're thorough. You can get, for $500, you can get what Dave Feldman calls the Citizen Scientist Bundle, or you can get like thyroid check for like $30, $32, $35. I don't know if it knows where you live. I don't know if it knows where you are. And if it plays like that kind of like, well, if you're in this state, it's this much, but it seems to be around $35. And I'm excited to hear your feedback and let us know Tuesday night, Sean, on our live Tuesday night. Let me know what's going on, so we can know a little bit more about your experience. And if you have experience utilizing on your labs, let us know in the comments, because that keeps the chat moving. Move it, move it. I want to move it, move it, move it. See, look at that. Bacon Runner says, I took your advice and measured my muscles. I love it. And I don't know what's going on. What's happening with my comments here? Is it going to stop right there? I don't know. I hate that. I don't know why it does that to me. Is there a way to refresh this? I don't know. It just doesn't go. It just stops with Bacon Runner. It stops with that one from 20-some minutes ago. I don't like that. I want to see my comments here. I wish there was a way to refresh the comments. Ugh. So that might be the last comment that I put up on the screen today. Rude. Well, let me go ahead and let me take this over here and find her comment over here so I can go through. Let's see. All right. I'll move this over here. No, I don't want that. Stop it. All right. Let me move this over here like this. Let me spread it out. So it doesn't matter to you people. It doesn't matter to any of you. I'll put it right here, right where I can read it, where I'm staring at the screen. But unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see the chats. I'm not going to put them on the screen, but that's okay. But Amy is here. Good morning, Amy. So glad to see you, my dear. Oh, and Mr. Biscuit's here. Mr. Biscuit. Hello. Good morning, Mr. Biscuits. Oh, and Sandy Blythe is here. Well, see, what I did is I told Donna Ray, I told her to measure her muscles and take photos, weekly photos, because she didn't think that she saw any progress. And I think that's valuable information for each and every one of us, right? I think it's very important for each of us to try, especially if you're in the process of cutting or losing weight or adding muscle, or really should be taking photos of ourselves maybe every other week, at least monthly, to kind of get an idea of what we're looking like, what's happening with our body, so we can kind of see if the scale isn't doing what we want, if we are a person who steps on the scale all the time. I have purposely not put batteries in my scale. They have died. I have not replaced them, just because I don't want to be on the scale all the time, and I don't want that to be one of the things that keeps me from staying on track. And I know a lot of us have that problem. So that's just one of those things that I want to be mindful of, right? So we saw Sandy Blythe is here, Smoothie's here, Sharon is here. She says a quick good morning and then bye. Heading to the garden. It's planting weekend. Hopefully she's listening and not just being like, I'm out of here. You know how we do here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then Coach Angela Mullins says, good morning, Dustin and everyone. Again, I don't know what's going on with EV Mux here. It's been, even last week it stopped. I don't know what's going on, why it did not give me all of my chats, even though they're all connected, they're all attached. All four platforms should be giving me. So if you are talking to me from Twitter, X, come over to YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, come over to YouTube. And if you're watching on Rumble, come over to YouTube and chat, because otherwise I cannot see your chats, because for some reason EV Mux decided that I only needed to see a few of those. Not all of them. So, technical difficulties as always. This movie says the system is a lie. The system is a lot of things. The system is red tape. The system is rigged. The system is a lot of things. And there is a lot of lies in the system. Sherry Lynn is here. She says, good morning. I'll be listening as I am getting my veggie plants I bought yesterday planted. She's planting veggies. Our kids have started a garden in our backyard. They put some planters in the backyard. I don't know. It's probably like 9 calories worth of vegetables, so I'm not really quite sure what's going to happen there. One thing that I had yesterday, and it's kind of an interesting discussion that I had. So yesterday I was on my way to go to the granddaughter's soccer game. On the way to the soccer game, I get a phone call that the soccer game is canceled because there was lightning storming over near the soccer field. So I was like, okay, I needed to go to Walmart. I had to get some paper plates and get some things. And some of the things that I bought we'll talk about in a little bit because I should not have purchased them, but I did anyway. And it's one of those things I think it is kind of a thing that we do, so at least I do from time to time, and then you kind of realize that that's why I haven't bought them in a long time, but I digress. Anyway, so our middle child and his fiance were going to go to the game because I told them they had to go. All the kids have to go to at least one game to support our girl, okay? The last game, Chandra, because it's a Saturday and Chandra works every single Saturday, she's actually taking 4 hours and going to go to work late. She's having someone cover her shift, or a little bit of a shift, so she can go to the game because it's an early game. It's like a 7:45 start time. So it'll be over before 9 a.m., okay? Because the games are 2 20-minute halves, so they're not that long. And they're tiny kids, you know? So they were on their way to the game. They get there, they realize the game has been canceled. And they're like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I didn't know you were going. I sent you a message, and you never responded. So I'm supposed to be a mind reader, apparently. But anyway, it's like, I'm at Walmart. I'm going to go to Walmart. Meet me at Walmart. I'm like, okay. So they met me at Walmart, and I'm doing my shopping. And my son and his fiance for right now are doing keto. Which is going to be to see how he does it himself, because he is a noodleaholic. He is a pasta addicted person. He is also lactose intolerant, like extremely lactose intolerant, and yet he will still eat mac and cheese by the pound and then pay the consequences, if you know what I mean. And he's okay with the consequences because he is such a noodleaholic. Chandra tells me, because I was obviously not there for those early childhood years, just absentee, stepdad. Anyway, I was like, I just wasn't there for him. I didn't come into their lives until 2011. But he was on a schedule. She would tell me as soon as 6 p.m. hit, he couldn't even tell time yet. But as soon as 6 p.m. hit, he would start like going crazy. Need noodles now. Need noodles now. Like he's got this internal clock. Like he's always been the person who just goes to bed when they're tired. She said that it would be just nothing to walk in the bedroom and see him asleep in the toys. He would just play and just fall asleep right there in the toys. And I'm sure a lot of kids have done that, but there's like just that clockwork, 6 o'clock, screaming, need noodles now, to see that he is going keto. And we were talking through the grocery store yesterday, and his fiance is the epitome of the people that we talk about needing the help, right? Now, she's not overweight. By definition, probably, but she doesn't look by general today's standards to be overweight. She looks kind of like everybody else. Is she's like, well, I'm going to do it for a little while. And we both chimed in. This is not something you do for a little while. This is a what you do thing. And then one thing leads to another, and we were down the aisle for the mayo and stuff. There's a couple of things I need to grab down there. I wanted to look. And the Walmart that I go to most often does not really carry any seed oil free mayonnaise. They have like 0 seed oil free mayonnaise options, at least that I could see. Sometimes they sometimes they have they'll sometimes have the Primal Kitchen Chipotle mayo or whatever. They'll have like a little jar of that or something sometimes. But for all, for generalized purposes, they have Dukes and Hellmann's, and they have Miracle Whip and all those things. And we obviously know how those are made. But we were talking about seed oils, and my son goes, well, why? Why do we need to avoid seed oils? And I'm like, they're not good for us. They're industrialized. They cause inflammation. And he's like, yeah, but why? I'm like, he's hard to explain things to, because we were talking about, the idea that you should avoid them. And one thing that I told him, and I was like, if you're somebody who doesn't understand the basis of what it is that low carb, keto, proper human diet is going for a seed oil free mayo day one priority. Now, a lot of you probably would say, yes, it is a day one priority. But when you're trying to get someone like that, like the majority of the population, getting them on board, it's not a day one priority. A day one priority is getting them to look at the overarching amount of sugar, carbohydrates that are in their diet, and getting them to start looking at ways to reduce that in a meaningful, impactful, yet sustainable fashion, to where they can actually keep up and are willing to follow through. Because, again, the general population doesn't have an understanding of just how many carbohydrates they're eating in a day, let alone the impact of seed oils, margarine, salad dressings, mayonnaise, all the things that they're seed oils and the breads, and they're in all the products. They're in just about any kind of manufactured, hyper palatable food, because it's more shelf stable, so to speak. But getting somebody who is just on the fence to really give it a actual legitimate chance, I don't think that seed oils are a day one problem. They're not a day one priority. Just like I don't think necessarily trying to, talk somebody to doing carnivore day one is probably going to be as successful as a lot of people think. I think when we're dealing with people who are used to having plates with 4 or 5 different options on every plate, they've got a little bit of a meat, they've got a vegetable, they've got a starch, they've got a mac and cheese, they've got a this, they've got a that, they've got a dessert at the end of every meal. We have to, again, meet people where they are. So if you are trying to get somebody to make better choices, then we're saying, well, okay, have your meat, get some veggies. Maybe you're having some broccoli, some cauliflower, some Brussels sprouts. I mean, realistically, even in the very beginning, maybe some carrots, some green beans, some asparagus. Because again, if we can get the mass majority of people to just go low carb, single ingredient whole foods, we've won. We don't have to get everyone to go carnivore. We don't have to get everyone to necessarily go strict clean keto. They don't have to be ketovore. Just, I think, getting the bulk of society to lower carbohydrates down to even 100 total carbs a day. Getting the average American to lower their carbohydrates to just 100 total carbohydrates a day, we would see a significant, monumental, just overwhelmingly positive impact on overall society. We don't have to get them to 0 carb. We don't have to get them to 20 total carbs. We don't have to get them that far. The daily recommendation is 300 total carbs a day. Okay? Now, if we could get the average person to hit that as a maximum 300, I think we would be better off. But we know what the average is. The average is a person is going to get their morning latte that could be 60, 70, 100 carbohydrates, along with a muffin, a bagel, which is another 60 carbohydrates, 80 carbohydrates. Just for breakfast, they're at 200 total carbs. Then what are they doing for lunch? What are they doing for dinner? How many snacks are they having? What is their daily total carb load? And that was one of the things that frustrated me about, I was trying to dig through AI, but AI would not give me the answer I was looking for. AI was saying, well, no, the average is 300, like 2 to 300. I'm like, that's impossible, because the recommendation is 300. The recommendation ceiling is 300. And I've seen some of these low-calorie people on Instagram eating 300 grams of carbohydrates a day and keeping their calories low. And they're like, well, I had my 1,800 calories for the day, and I was 300 carbs, like 40 grams of fat or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like whatever they're trying to go for. And that's crazy. That's a person dieting and hitting 300 grams of carbohydrates. It's just astonishing to me that the average person is probably getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 grams of carbohydrates in a single day, and not even realizing and not even understanding that that's what they're having. And then in our community, we are getting to the point where you have more than a splash of heavy cream in your coffee and they're ready to throw you out with the bath water. Evelyn says, ready to meet up with people on May 25th. That is fantastic. I can't wait for that. And that is on Low Carb Events. You can find the Memorial Day meetup at Elkhart on lowcarbevents.com. And Coach Angela is asking if I'm breaking up. I am not breaking up with you. We are still going steady and strong, Angela. Me and you, always and forever. No, but I don't know. I can't tell. Everyone else seems to see that it is working very well. Kathy B. here is here. Hello, Kathy. I'm glad that you are here. Oh, quit being weird. There we go. All right. Let's see, is this live chat going to mess me up? Yes, it is. All right, I got to go back up and find out what's going on. Bear with me. I got to scroll back up and find what's going on. Steadfast is here. I think I lost some of my chat, so I don't know. I may have missed a bunch of stuff, so I do apologize. Meetup in Elkhart, Indiana. Andy is here. Hello, Andy. I don't know why I'm clicking it because you can't see it. For some reason, my streaming platform is not giving me what I want. But yes, meetup in Elkhart, Indiana. Cindy is here. She's in Texas. Tuber Chat Kevin is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you? Sherry Lynn is here. Instead of their charts, the only thing that was high was cholesterol, of course, but was close to normal according to Dr. Barry. That's the thing, yeah. Yes. And Amy said she is firing her doctor, and I will pull labs next year from my own your labs, and I find a doctor when I have a problem. Really, that's all we can really do, right? I mean, I technically cannot recommend that. I would say always have a doctor because I am not a doctor or a healthcare professional. But don't be afraid to fire your doctor if you need to. If your doctor isn't providing a service that you want, what is the point? Angie's in the house, listening while cleaning the house, never ending when you have fur babies or 8 people living in your house. It's just one of those things that never ever stops. And Evelyn says, May 25th, 2026 meetup, 6 to 8. I imagine it may go a little longer than that because they're open till like 11. So I imagine we'll sit around and talk and do that Midwest goodbye thing for a while. Because as you know, as you do. And Lindy is here. Good morning, Lindy. So very glad to see you, dear. How are you feeling? Let us know how you're feeling. And Mr. Biscuit says, I am 75% towards my weight goal in 18 months on 18 months carnivore. I'm giving myself another solid year to try to get close to the goal. No use for a scale until then. I trust the process and the healing. Yeah. I mean, really, like, if it takes longer than that, you just keep going, right? I mean, really, what's the issue? If you don't feel right, change things. And Manix Gaming is here. Hello. How often do you guys eat beef now? As often as possible. Beef is more expensive, but I try to eat frozen burger patties, and I'm willing to skimp in other areas to eat more beef, but we are eating chicken more often than not. So we're still eating beef a few times a week, but still supplementing with more chicken than we used to. Chicken used to be a few times a month and primarily meat or beef, but now it's chicken a few nights a week, more nights, like 4 nights a week. And then beef is kind of what we try to eat. Basically, beef and chicken have shifted, unfortunately. Caribou meat here is $8 USD per kilo. That's not bad. I mean, is it tender? What do you got to do to it to make it tender? But $8 for 2.5 pounds is $4 a pound, basically. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. And where are you? Where are you, Manix Gaming? Where are you located on this planet? We eat beef every day, bacon and eggs for breakfast, burger meat or steaks for lunch and dinner, because Sean is rich. Sean is very rich, and he has a lot of money. And Mr. Biscuit says, only beef I eat is 80-20, around 2 to 3 pounds a week, depending on sales, but no issue with other animal proteins. Unfortunately for us, unfortunately for us, pork is out because it gives Chandra horrendous heartburn. So I'm not going to cook a bunch of pork, even with bacon. I used bacon grease and some eggs for her the other day, and that really impacted her. So that's out. I'll still make bacon because I like bacon, but I won't be making lots of pork belly anymore. It's just going to be beef and chicken, I guess. Yeah, and Andy's like, he needs a why. Why is he doing it? He's doing it to feel better. He's doing it to get on track, to feel better, But it's some people they're like, why? Because you're going so far away from what is considered healthy that people have questions, especially with things like seed oils, because the alternatives are so much more expensive. You're going from something that's $4 with seed oils to $10, $12 that doesn't have it. So they're like, well, what am I getting for my money? And it's a fair and valid question. It truly is a fair and valid question. Lions Carnivore podcast is here. Hello, Dan. He says, well, hello, my good sir. how it be? It is going wonderful, my friend. How are you? Yeah, a lot of eggs. We had a lot of eggs in this house. A lot of eggs in this house. A lot of egg sandwiches. Making my waffles, egg and cheese sandwiches. That's the bulk of our protein is eggs. I mean, we go through 10 dozen a week, give or take. So, yeah. I mean, I've been making the waffles every single day. I haven't been making them in bulk. I don't know, just because I've shifted my recipe a little bit. I've shifted my recipe, so I've been making them because I made them with the 3 eggs, the 85 grams of mayonnaise, and then, and I've upped the amount of, so I've been doing 4 eggs, about 80, so the mayonnaise hasn't really changed. It's like 85 to 90 grams as you're trying to spoon it into the thing. I do weigh it. So I've been doing 4 eggs, 85 to 90-ish grams of mayonnaise, and then I've got a little tiny little spoon. It's probably 2 or 3 teaspoons is what I'm using, and as I'm blending it, and I just pour it in so it mixes in well. And I've been using the whisk attachment on my immersion blender inside of like the little cup the immersion blender comes with. So I crack the eggs into another container just in case there are any shells, because shells into that container are hard to get out. And then I put that container on top of my little scale, spoon in my mayonnaise, and then I use the whisk attachment. And then as I'm putting it in, I have a little plastic cup that I put my gelatin in and just dump it in, and then I just mix it. And then I let that sit as things warm up, and I get other things out. I get my eggs ready to go in the skillet. I get my cheese out, get the slices ready to go. And then I sell like 4 eggs into the pan, fold them over, and then I can cut them in half, and then that's 2 sandwiches, and I'm good to go. Let's see here. John Gugahan says, my Walmart carries Chosen Foods mayo. I bought one a couple of weeks ago, and it cost $8 for a small 12-ounce jar. Thankfully, I don't eat mayo too often. Right. So that's the thing is, like, if you can get someone to help you, if you have a Costco nearby and you know someone with Costco membership and they can grab you like $20 gift cards, then with $20, you can probably basically get 2 jars, 2 32-ounce jars of their Chosen Foods mayo, because they're $10 for 32 ounces. So you're saving a bundle. If I live close, I would totally help you out with that. Because that's what we use. I've got like 6 jars in the house. And I've got a jar of the Hellmann's version of it that Sam's Club sells. Same price, same size. Basically the same ingredients. Do I trust Hellmann's as much as I trust Chosen? Not really, but it's a start. It's a step in the right direction. And Evelyn says, I like Dr. Barry's video, the first 3 steps, no credit card required. That was the first video I ever watched, keto related. Yeah, I mean, and Dr. Barry was keto for a very, very long time. And I think there is in some aspects a natural shift from keto into a more streamlined lifestyle that is more carnivore adjacent. Call it ketovore, call it what you want. But realistically, that's what happened with me. When, I started keto 2016, obviously that's the story, and that's where we've talked about it countless times here on this channel. It's my origin story, if you will. But that's where I started. But I mean, over the years, most of the shifts that have been made are out of streamlining the process, making things easier for myself, because I used to spend hours and hours in the kitchen making like pork rind breaded this and this breaded that, and making this replacement, and making fathead dough to make corn dogs, and this is before I even had a channel. I didn't film most of those concoctions. I was just cooking all the time. And, I would post some of it on Instagram. That's kind of where I started, was Instagram. Not video, because video really wasn't a thing yet. But, I mean, video was very, very underutilized when it comes to Instagram at the time. But yeah, I mean, that's really how it played out for me. Realistically, the more I go, the easier I want things to be. So if it's hot dogs in the air fryer, burger patties on the stove, you know, batch cooking, you know, chicken thighs for a couple of days, steaks. Steaks are one of the easiest things you can cook. You take a skillet, you turn it on, you salt the steaks, you let them sit for a while, let them warm up a little bit to air, you know, to room temperature a little bit while the pan's getting hot. Then you put them in the pan and you cook them, and then you flip them, and then you like put a lid on them for a couple of minutes, and then you take them out and you eat them, or let them rest for a few minutes and you eat them. Ta-da! Pretty easy. Pretty easy. And Mannix is asking if we have caribou in the U.S. Not that I have seen. I'd imagine that you might be able to get that in some specialty butcher shops in some parts of the world or parts of the country, but I do not think it's easily available. The majority of the meat that we can get here in the U.S. is beef, chicken, pork. Lamb is becoming more prevalent, and maybe you can find like mutton or goat. Those, I mean, goat is even harder to find. You've got to go to like, you know, specialty store or ethnic stores to find those things. The people who want those is where those will be. But I mean, that's kind of it. And maybe like if you go to like some bougie place like Whole Foods, you might find some elk. Maybe you can go to Fresh Time and they have ground elk. But you got to be careful, because if you look at if you look at the prices of elk, and then if you look at the fine print, it's mixed with beef. So you're not even getting pure elk. So that's why I've never bought it. Because I'm like, you know, I know what beef tastes like. I want to know what pure elk tastes like. So, you know. And Sonny is 100% right here. It's in baby formula. That's what, I mean, I have a video on that on my channel. I have a video all about baby formula. It's only got 100 and some views, which is kind of disheartening. Maybe my titles are bad. Maybe my thumbnail's not good. Maybe, you know, the things that happen when it comes to YouTube. But I don't have a lot of, you know, I mean, I don't have a lot of views on it. But baby formula is terrible. Our granddaughter's still on baby formula. You know, my daughter was supplementing with it, and she was pumping and doing these things, but it just doesn't come, she doesn't make enough. So, I mean, we buy like the best that we can find in the store, like the bougiest, best formula, but they take out the actual fat from the milk. They use like a skim milk, and they're replacing the fat with seed oils, maybe some coconut oil. But we have been supplementing and putting a little bit of coconut oil in her bottles and mixing that up. So at least she's getting like some MCT oil in her bottle and stuff. So, you know, I mean, it's just it's a pain. Like, and it's actually, my understanding is it's illegal in the U.S. to manufacture baby formula that doesn't contain seed oils. Maybe I should look that up and make sure I confirm that, because it might be one of those conspiracy things that I'm trying to avoid. Let's see. Let's see. I said, is it legal to make baby formula without seed oils? No, it's not explicitly illegal to make baby formula without seed oils, but current FDA regulations make it nearly impossible to do so in practice. So, federal law does not explicitly ban or mandate specific ingredients like soy, sunflower, or canola oils. However, the FDA enforces strict nutritional mandates for infant formula, including specific minimum amounts of essential fatty acids like linoleic acid as omega-6, alpha linoleic acid as omega-3. Because standard cow's milk naturally lacks the polyunsaturated fat profile found in human breast milk, manufacturers must add a fat blend to meet these legal nutritional thresholds. Seed oils are currently the most abundant, shelf-stable, and cost-effective way to legally achieve this required fatty acid balance. Now, the ingredient landscape here, the current market reality, virtually every commercially available infant formula in the United States and Europe uses some form of seed oils, vegetable oil blend such as rapeseed, sunflower, coconut, or soy oil to mimic the fat composition of breast milk. Alternative fat options, some niche or boutique brands focus on using a base of organic whole milk or goat's milk to maximize natural milk fat globule membranes, MFGM, which allows them to significantly reduce the overall percentage of added seed oils in their recipes. Other brands swap out traditional options for alternative fats like avocado oil or coconut oil. The illegal misconception: social media claims often misrepresent the law. A formula is only illegal considering adulterated if it fails to hit the exact nutrient counts mandated by the FDA, not because of the specific source of those nutrients. Now, regulatory changes here. The infant formula industry is undergoing active federal scrutiny under an initiative called Operation Stork Speed. Operation Stork Speed is what I said. Yes, I'll repeat that one more time for those in the back. Operation Stork. You know, the bird that delivers baby speed. Launched by the Department of Health and Human Services, an initiative includes a comprehensive review of FDA infant formula standards. Part of the review evaluates whether the agency should update its decades-old guidelines to allow alternative stable fats to satisfy infant nutritional requirements instead of relying heavily on industrial seed oils. If you are looking for specific formula alternatives, let's see, like, do you prefer whole milk, goat's milk base? Are you looking for formula that completely avoids specific oils like soy or palm? Does your baby have allergies or sensitivities to consider? So this is fascinating information, and I think it's very valuable. So yeah, it's just one of those things I think is unfortunate because baby formula is very expensive, and they tend to use the cheapest ingredients possible, which is irritating. So Manic says, I searched it up and it's only native in the Philippines. Yeah. I'd imagine, does the Philippines have a lot of beef cows? It just seemed like that Asia wouldn't have that many, but because I know like beef in like India is one of those things that they don't eat, but they do eat a lot of water buffalo. Or if you want that beefy flavor, you can get water buffalo, because I've seen Sahil from Headbanger's Kitchen and all those in that channel over there where he would eat water buffalo because, again, it's very difficult to come by beef. Some may even say that it's like frowned upon, obviously, over there to eat beef. Let's see. And Sean's saying, Evelyn, first we thought we were just trying to sell stuff. The fact that he wasn't selling anything is what got me hooked. Every other diet costs money. This was the diet that didn't. And I think, that's one of the things, like, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, too, is like the idea of selling things. One of the things that I've always talked about with this channel is I'm not trying, if I can avoid having sponsorships, or if I can find a sponsorship that truly fits the ethos of this channel, like I've always talked about, like there is that like consideration to be made of products like Element. Element is one of those companies that does sponsor a lot of the channels in our niche, right? And it is an important product, regardless of your stance on maltodextrin. And the fact that some of their products use it and some of them do not. Where, as much as I would hesitate, because again, I think being sponsored by Element comes with caveats that I may not necessarily be interested in. Like if I get, a specific sponsorship by them, then I may not be able to talk about salty. And I really am a big fan of salty. As you can see, I do drink salty. I keep it. I've got grape because it's the best flavor. Okay, hands down, best flavor, grape. And if you still haven't tried the Granny Apple, you should get some of that, right? pretty darn good. But I was thinking, so because I am in the process of launching my health coaching business, and I will pull up, the logo for you guys to see. I did tease it on Tuesday, but let me go ahead and incorporate that here because I want to make sure. Let's see if I can find it here. Where is this here? I don't know where. I thought I had it here. But let me see. I brought it in over on the. I brought it in on my Tuesday, not my Sunday. That's why I can't find it. Okay, my apologies. There we go. Now it is in here. Let me rename this so I know what it's called. All right. So for those of you who have not seen, who may have been living under a rock, I participated in the first class for Dr. Barry, the health coaching class that they did. They have now closed the registration, sign up for the second class. That ended on the 15th. So now, after completing, passing, and being certified as a health coach with Proper Human Diet with Dr. Barry and Nisha, Kim Howerton, and Alyssa, I'm going through and starting my business. Now, one of the things that I would like to do with this business is make it a symbiotic relationship with this channel. Now, I don't want to use this channel or overrun this channel with health coaching stuff. It's not what this channel is about. This channel is about education. This channel is about community. There's a lot of things this channel is about, but I don't want it to necessarily be about health coaching. And I don't necessarily think I'm going to start a second channel because that's a lot of work. I have already created another Instagram account as well as a Facebook for my coaching. So that stays separate. But one thing that I do want to do is, because I have not yet been able to secure outside sponsorships from other companies that I would feel comfortable. I get countless fraudulent emails daily about sponsorship opportunities. They say things like, oh, we have watched all your content and we think it would be a great fit for our outdoor equipment. Really? Then you haven't watched any of my content. So, and also they're like, Dear Keto Simple. They don't even know my name. So I will probably be utilizing my health coaching business to sponsor long form videos, maybe even segments of the live streams, because now 15, 20-second sponsorship, like this video is sponsored by Back to Human Health Coaching. See, this is the logo. This is what I'm going with right now. I'm in the process of building a website, getting all the things together, doing all the things. Because I think that this name fits health coaching, because I'm not trying to sell weight loss. I'm not trying to sell any one thing. I'm trying to sell the ability of someone to regain who they were. That might be weight loss. That might just be mental clarity. It might be just battling the things that they're battling with food addiction and getting off of highly processed carbohydrates and things like that. Because again, as a health coach, I'm not going to guarantee weight loss. I'm not going to guarantee those things, because that's not what a health coach does. We don't guarantee weight loss. We guarantee we will help you move through your daily life and help build a foundation to help you find success in your life. That's really what a health coach is. So this is the logo. These are my plans to sponsor my own content and make it a circular thing. Because, again, I only want to make sure I'm bringing things to you that bring value, things of this channel that bring value. And I know a lot of you aren't here for health coaching, but with my long form content, I do draw in people who are outside of this community, people who are outside of my subscriber base, and they may be interested in health coaching. So it'll be quick, hopefully 15, 20 seconds. I've got to work it out, make sure that how it's going to be and all the things, and make it a thing because it's important. And being able to build up this business, then I will have more money, hopefully, to put back into the channel, upgrade cameras, be able to go to events and not struggle to do things like Keto Palooza, Hack Your Health, Meat Stock, Low Carb for Better Health, Low Carb Cruise, 2KK cruises, and all the things that take infinite amounts of money that I do not have. There was a concert last night that I wanted to go to. That's one of my favorite bands live, and I didn't even go because it was like $40. So I'm hopefully going to be able to make some money. It's going to be a long stretch. It's going to take me a few years probably to get to the point where I have, it's making me solid income. But I'm willing to put the work in, just like I have with this channel. This channel, I didn't make me money for the person. I mean, this still doesn't make that much money, but it wasn't making even money enough to be sustainable for the first like 3.5 years out of the 5 years, really. And even only really became sort of sustainable just keeping the subscriptions that it takes to run this channel until the last few months. So with that being said, I'm going to, that's what I'm looking to do. And hopefully you're into it and you support me and you don't think that this is overkill. And I'm sure you will let me know because that's what you guys do. That's what we're here for. Communication. Yes. Let me go ahead and bring back up some of these comments again. I wish I could be able to bring them up on the screen and all that stuff, right? Kathy B here says, I believe, well, at least for me, I've switched to keto carnivore. I would say since January, you show them food that is cooked so they can see it better. Let's see. At least for me, I've switched to keto carnivore. I would say since January, you show them. Okay, I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to see. Yeah. Let's see. And Carl says, I don't need to convert others to keto. I just need cheaper meat. Yeah, that's true. It would be nice to have those things, right? And Mr. Biscuit says, I feel talking about healing is the best place to start a conversation on lifestyle change. The details of carnivore, even carnivore itself, doesn't need to be in that conversation. I think that is very important. Healing. How do you start, do you wake up and you feel like garbage? Then it's most likely what you're eating. And Mr. Biscuit says, moving to whole foods, I feel, is the first message regarding diet. 100%. And Manic is, you're 100% telling the others about this diet makes it more expensive. Yes. And Maritza says, OMG, seed oils and baby formula. I breastfed because formula was so expensive. Maybe I did something good for my daughter. Well, I mean, that's the major issue that we have, right? Is for so many years, people were recommended in the hospital to formula feed their babies. How insane is that? Like, we can even look up, like, the history of baby formula. So let's see. Let's take a look here and see. So the rise of baby formula into mainstream society was not an overnight shift. We know that. It was a century-long transition driven by scientific breakthroughs, socioeconomic changes, and aggressive corporate marketing. By the mid-1970s, the U.S. breastfeeding rates plummeted to an all-time low of just 25%. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. That in the mid 70s, 75% of women were formula feeding their babies and not breastfeeding. Breastfeeding had gone so far out of fashion that formula had successfully positioned itself as the standard of infant nutrition. Think about that for a minute. Think about one of the things that we talk about here on this channel and in this community as a whole of the decline of society, the decline of health in the society, and the idea that we in the, starting, before the 70s, but by the mid 70s, 75% of babies were fed with formula in the United States. And that historical push of baby formula into the mainstream unfolded across several key areas, right? The pre-formula era survival of the fittest, pre-1860s. So, before the mid-19th century, a baby could not be breastfed, faced a grim reality, right? So if the mother couldn't breastfeed, say the mother passed in childbirth, if a mother could not nurse, families relied on wet nursing, hiring another lactating woman to feed the baby. The only other alternative was dry nursing, which meant feeding the baby animal milk, raw cow's milk, and a gruel called pap, water mixed with flour or bread. Because of the bacteria, unpasteurized milk, and inadequate nutrition, the majority of dry nursed infants did not survive the first year. Now, this is one of those things that we talk about when we talk about history. We talk about the idea that average person didn't live past 30. Well, that's kind of a misconception. It's looking at the data incorrectly. Because if we go back and we look at the data shows us that if a child made it past 11, then they would most likely live into their 60s and 70s. The major problem was surviving childbirth and making it past 11. So, we talk about the dawn of science, proprietary foods, the 1860s to the 1910s. So the Industrial Revolution triggered a cultural shift towards urbanization and a growing faith in science. In 1865, German chemist Justus von Liebig patented the first commercial infant food, a powder made of wheat flour, cow's milk, malt flour, and potassium bicarbonate. In 1867, Henry Nestle launched Farine Leche. It's Farine, and then it's Lactee with like a little weird thing over the first E. Anyway, a condensed milk and cereal formula that only required adding water. That's basically kind of where we are, right? Even now, right? While these products were marketed as scientific miracles, they were too expensive for average working class families, meaning most mothers continued to breastfeed during this era. The evaporated milk boom and medicalization of the 1920s and the 1950s. The true mainstream breakthrough happened in the 1920s and the 1930s with the widespread availability of cheap, shelf-stable evaporated milk. The recipe, pediatricians realized that boiling evaporated milk sterilized it, made curd highly digestible, and reduced bacterial infections. Doctors routinely instructed mothers to mix canned evaporated milk with water, corn syrup like Cairo syrup, and then the medical approval shift. This era established a pediatrician as the ultimate authority on infant feeding. Parents began deferring to doctors who praised the precision and safety of calculated formulas over unpredictability of breast milk. That is insanity. The unpredictability of breast milk. The mainstream push post-World War II in corporate marketing, the 1950s to the 1970s. Following World War II, commercial formula companies like Similac, Abbott Laboratories, and Enfamil, Mead Johnson, Johnson & Johnson and Mead, aggressively scaled production to replace homemade evaporated milk mixtures. Formula achieved total mainstream saturation due to several alignment factors. The rise of modernity. social expectations shift. Breastfeeding was increasingly stigmatized as backward, old-fashioned, or lower class. That's insane, because even now that has completely shifted to where only really the upper class people have the time to breastfeed. It's considered a, it's considered a very much like, upper class thing to do now. Like the whole breastfeeding mom era. And like, especially like social media and things like that. So the formula was successfully marketed by brands like Nestle, Mead Johnson as the ultra-modern scientific choice for affluent, sophisticated parents. Women entering the workplace. As more women took jobs outside the home, the convenience of bottle feeding provided newfound freedom and flexibility that rigid nursing schedules could not match. The hospital pipeline, formula companies began providing free, ready-to-feed formula discharge bags directly to maternity wards. When a mother gave birth, her baby was fed formula by hospital staff. The psychological impact was immediate. Mothers assumed that if the medical establishment used formula, it must be superior to breast milk. That makes my brain bust wide open. That just is flipping insanity. Like, how could you let that sink in for a minute, right? Just think about that. When a mother gave birth, she was handed a goodie bag, a bag of formula, and the hospital staff fed the baby formula. We talk about consent a lot these days. We talk about how important consent is in a lot of aspects of our lives, right? Think about this. They didn't ask, is it okay if we feed your baby formula, or do you want to breastfeed your baby? They just started doing it. And then moms were like, cool. That's crazy. Like the manipulation tactic there, right? Now, global backlash and regulations in the 1970s to the 1980s. By the 1970s, formula companies faced intense global scrutiny. Activists launched boycotts against corporations like Nestle for aggressively marketing formula in developing nations. So that was one of the things. They were sending these to places like in areas that lacked clean water for financial resources. So parents diluted the expensive powder with contaminated water. So they didn't have clean water to make baby formula with. So they were using contaminated water, leading to widespread infant malnutrition and mortality. Think about that for just a minute. They were sending baby formula to these countries that lacked the infrastructure, that lacked clean water, that lacked the understanding of what they were doing to their own children. And these companies are still in business today. These companies are still in business today and thriving. And I still find it kind of funny that there are two places typically in a grocery store where you'll be on camera knowingly, where you'll walk in the aisle and there's a screen where you can see yourself and there's a camera on you and you know you're on camera. At my local Walmart, the two places are the formula aisle and the alcohol section. When you walk up to where the wine and liquor and beer is, there are cameras and you can see yourself on screen. Also, the baby formula aisle where you pick out your baby formula has another camera with a screen. So the fact that these companies understand the necessity of things like formula, understand the impact that the financial restrictions have on people, that they are willing to steal these things, and they understand that, and enough to put in cameras. But that's insanity to me. So this controversy resulted in the 1981 International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes by the World Health Organization, okay? which restricted direct public advertising of formula in the U.S., the federal government passed the Infant Formula Act of 1980, officially establishing strict FDA regulatory oversight to ensure the safety and uniformity of all formula components. So I would like to look and kind of see like what this means here. So looking at the World Health Organization website, looking at this thing here. So it says it's time to stop infant formula marketing practices that endanger our children by Helen Clark, Dr. Tedros, and the name is just really long. So I don't know what that means. That's an impossible name for me to pronounce this early in the morning. Okay. As societies, we are failing to protect children and families from marketing of products that undermine their health and development. One of the most egregious examples of this is the aggressive promotion of commercial milk formula for babies and young children. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it goes on to say like the impact of formula marketing is different from that of everyday items like shampoo, shoes, refrigerators. The cynical marketing tactics used to push milk formulas drives overconsumption, discourages breastfeeding, undermines mothers' confidence, and exploits parents' instincts to do the best for their children. So formula milk marketing represents one of the most underappreciated risks to the health of infants and children. But while exclusive breastfeeding for babies 6 months and younger was increased only marginally over the last 2 decades, the sale of formula milk has nearly doubled. Scaling up breastfeeding could prevent an estimated 800,000 deaths of children under the age of 5, 20,000 breast cancer deaths among mothers each year. So could the rise of breast cancer have something to do with the lack of breastfeeding? I don't know. I never thought about that. That's something new to consider. The issue is the deep roots in the early 1970s. Worldwide attention was raised on the promotional practices of early baby food industry in Africa, Asia, Latin America, with the negative health impacts due to use of unsafe water and overly diluted formula. So they were making it go way further by like right now when I make a bottle for our granddaughter, it's 1 ounce of water to 1 scoop of formula. And then I add a squirt of MCT in there, and hopefully that helps. Like I say, is it optimal? Absolutely not. But if she has trouble breastfeeding, what is one to do? So the lawsuits and the 4 decades later, many of the same egregious practices continue to occur throughout the world. Now turbocharged by social media, despite the code and subsequent resolutions, formula milk companies powered by enormous budgets continue to disregard international recommendations and run advertising that routinely mischaracterize scientific findings. Some of the false claims used by formula milk companies include formula products with added ingredients improve brain development and immunity. Formula products are needed after 12 months of age. Breast milk is inadequate for the nutrition of older infants and children. The formula keeps babies fuller for longer, therefore helps them sleep. And the quality of breast milk declines with time. That's insanity. The fact that any company could, with any kind of straight face, come and say, our product is better than what your body produces. Your body makes a product. Your body makes something that can keep your baby, not only keep it alive, but help it thrive and be the best it can be. But our powder, which is made of the cheapest flippin' ingredients on the market with an extremely high price tag, is better for you. And all of that, so very untrue. They hurt children. They hurt mothers. And you think about this as happening all over the world. Because systematically identified examples of this from around the world after conducting research in Bangladesh, China, Mexico, Morocco, Nigeria, South Africa, the UK, and Vietnam. Examples include baby clubs, organized and managed by formula milk companies, sometimes through front groups. So they're pretending to be something that they're not with some other kind of corporate front, which offers mothers gifts and discounts, information on pregnancy and birth, and access to care lines, which provide 24/7 support and advice for ailments, including what we just went through from 2020 through 2025. Pain point marketing, a common but often subtle marketing scheme that aims to convince potential customers that they have a problem which can be solved by purchasing a product. There have been, has a rise in marketing for specialized and comfort milks that make bold claims to solve common infant ailments and behaviors such as colic, reflux, and crying, despite insufficient evidence that they are effective. And targeting health workers, a systematic targeting of health professionals in clinics, hospitals by industry to encourage them to promote formula milk products. Sponsorships, trainings, activities, and gifts are used, including offers for cash or commissions, and in some cases to influence health workers' practice and recommendations. This is just ridiculous. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. And it's like, this happens right under all of our noses. It's crazy to think about that stuff, right? Yeah, and Angie says we have won. So back to the other thing that I was talking about before, is like if we can consider it a win if we can get people to stop eating ultra-processed foods, to eat whole foods, real meat, real veggies, and real fruits. Now, the thing that kind of comes to mind here is the fact that if parents are still kind of in a situation where they're okay with, if they can produce breast milk and they still choose to breastfeed or choose not to breastfeed, then that's just like, how are we going to convince them to eat better for themselves if they won't even do it for their children? So we've got a bigger uphill battle than I even thought about until just now. Oh, my goodness. Good morning to Karen Harrington. She's in the house. And Lindy is saying that I tell my clients baby steps. We talk about the importance of getting rid of sugar and processed carbs. Then each week we add something else. Seed oils are definitely not a day one priority. Yeah, and I think that's exactly where we should be, right? And I think I just lost my spot here. Hopefully, let's see. YouTube just refreshed and made me lose my spot. So, let's see. Retired Rick Carnivore 69 says hello. I'm trying to find. This is going to be one of those mornings where I'm going to miss things and say, I'm probably, if you say hi and I didn't see it, my true apologies. Booby Goats is here. Carnivore Lance is here. Yeah, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Modern science, technology. We want to do better by our people. And I think there's a lot of things that have happened that we have done just to prevent mass starvation. So I think we've done that for most of the modern world. We've prevented mass starvation. But in doing so, I think we have started a new problem. Just people being ridiculously sick. Let's see. Yeah. Mr. Biscuit says they throw in turkey. Yeah, I bought some deli turkey the other day. I was just really wanting some deli meat. Yeah, so Lions, Carnivore podcast, lowering the carb intake would be beneficial. Pushback to that is many people are addicted to sugar. The lower the consumption may have outcome withdrawal they may not handle well. And I think we got to start somewhere, right? The thing is we can't, I think the idea is that we are never going to get the mainstream to go carnivore. We're not going to get the mainstream to go keto. I think, and being 100% realistic, and yeah, I think we are probably going to struggle to get the mainstream to lower carbohydrates to 100 total carbs a day. Should we shoot for less? 100%. And I think we do a good job of showcasing what can happen when we do live these keto carnivore lifestyles. But I think the overall shift to the majority of the people is going to take a lot more work than even most of us could even begin to realize. Yeah, and you know, Sonny says something here. It's like talking about organic, but as long as it's organic seed oils and high fructose corn syrup, I guess it's okay. Like, thing is, like, the idea that what's organic, does organic actually mean anything in the real world? I don't even care about organic, because to me right now, organic is a price tag that I can't afford. And I don't think I'm getting the true benefits from organic versus regular for most things. And I think that's the thing that we have to be mindful of too. We can't sit there and we can't try to sell $20 pound meat to people and say, well, you know, your health depends on it. Does it? Yeah, you can improve your health eating hot dogs. You can improve your health eating frozen burger patties from Walmart. You could even improve your health eating the big beef tubes from Walmart, or the beef packages at Walmart that have the additional flavorings added. These things are still going to completely benefit you so much. So I think we as a community have to understand that people in this community are willing and knowingly working on themselves in a way that almost causes a disillusionment to the rest of the world. I think we kind of lose sight of the rest of the world because we see ourselves able to do these things. We see ourselves ready and willing to do these things. And I see that just because the people in this community, which is a tiny, minuscule fraction of the rest of the world, and what they are likely to want to do. You know, I mean, we can't get them to learn if we're too dogmatic. Knowledge is the only way. Knowledge and just seeing how we do things, like how we benefit. You know, if people are paying attention to what we're doing in our daily lives, our friends, our families, our colleagues, you know, people at church, how they see you. Are you slimming down? Are you getting around better? Are you feeling better? Are you in a better mood all the time? Well, what are you doing that's different? What are you doing that's different? How can I do what you're doing? And then we have to be sure to not scare them off by being the weird person and saying, well, I only eat raw caribou. We can't. We got to be, whole foods, single ingredient whole foods, prioritize meat. Amy's on her way to church. And Dan says, in theory, you are correct. And I'm hopeful people have a control to curb their carb intake. Though in reality, it's a hook and reel from carb addiction. Sometimes the solution is pivoting to a carnivore life. But again, I don't see the average person across the globe becoming a carnivore. And I don't think our current infrastructure could support it. We talk about how much meat the McDonald's sells in patties and how much they sell millions and millions of patties a year. And how many cows that is, how many cows we have, how many cows we go through. Look at the price of meat. Carnivore is a wonderful tool. But I still think carnivore is still one of those incredibly niche tools that not everybody is willing to utilize. Over time, more people will probably utilize this thing. But I think if we are looking at the right here, right now aspect of the problem, expecting the average person to go straight to carnivore is a pipe dream. It just really is. I think it's all about packaging, right? How do we get people who are unknowingly completely addicted to all the things that modern life has to offer currently. Starbucks, fast food, McDonald's, microwave meal, Grubhub, DoorDash, all these things. The idea that people are probably working more than they ever had before to be able to afford the lives that they've had, to be able to afford food. To then be like, well, no, you got to cook at home. We've got to understand that we've got to play into the people that we're talking to. Again, like and Dan is a great example here. Dan is a wonderful channel. He has a great channel, and he has wonderful guests, and he asks amazing questions. But I think because we get so locked in to what has worked for us individually, that it's easy to lose sight of what's going to work globally. Now, I think if we can, again, just get people to look at and start lowering their carbohydrate consumption, switching and understanding what carbs really are, because people don't understand that bread is sugar and oatmeal is sugar and all the things, right? People just don't understand that. They have no inkling because it's not something that's talked about. Is it more open to discussions these days? Yes. I walked by and I was at the grocery store the other day and I heard women talking about which bottled water they didn't want to drink because it had too much of a salty flavor to it. And I'm thinking, bottles of water taste salty? I put 1,000 milligrams of sodium in this cup just now. And there's probably not even a few milligrams of sodium in that bottle of water they're drinking. So if, that's like the people who think mayonnaise is spicy. And then you add on top of the pricing, we add on top of marketing and people's convenience factors of the things that they're used to, the comfort level of all the foods. We have a lot of work to do. And we have to remember, that, we have to look at, is sugar addictive? 100% sugar is more addictive than most things on the planet. But how do we get people to understand this? How do we get people to want to try and make things better? Because I understand where I came from. I was probably eating 1,000 grams of carbohydrates a day. Easy. The withdrawal was very difficult for me. The longing, the just walking down the grocery store aisle and seeing out of the corner of my eye that aisle of cookies and seeing that there were Oreos there. Why can't I have Oreos anymore? I just want Oreos. I remember stopping again, and I've talked about this, stopping and looking at the Oreos, and they had just come out with the thin Oreos, the Oreo Thins. They were Oreos, but they were thinner. But still, 2 cookies was like 14 grams of carbohydrates. And I'm like, I can only have 20 a day? Can I fit this in? That was a legitimate thought that I had. So again, we have a lot of work to do. And I think we have to understand that we have to meet people where they are. And we're going to have to do a lot of hand-holding, and we're going to have to be okay with that. There's going to be a million questions. There's going to be so much work, so much to do. And I think we're very well versed in this, but we have to not push who we are and what we've been through on others. Because just because I started at 400 pounds just because I know I have food addiction, just because I know that keeping my carbohydrates as close to zero on a regular basis is what I need to do, that eating mostly meat, eggs, and cheese is what I really need to do, I have to understand that I can't push that on someone else who hasn't realized what's best for them yet, because they aren't going to listen to me, because those are my experiences. And someone can look at me and understand my experiences. And there's always going to be the outliers of those people who have very similar experiences to me that might latch on and go, okay, I feel seen by you. I feel that you see me. I've been through the same things. I was 400 plus pounds. I have food addiction issues. This is what I've been through, and you're going through and have succeeded where I've failed so many times. Let me see what you're doing. So that's why it's so important that we tell our individual stories and we can outline our individual paths. But I don't think we should be trying to push our path and what's worked for us onto others, outside of the fact that we should be just communicating whole foods, single ingredient whole foods, being carb conscious, at least looking at how many carbs that they're eating a day, tracking for a week or two, just to get an idea of what they're utilizing, what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. Most people have zero idea. They don't think about that morning coffee having 100 grams of carbohydrates in it. They don't think about the 4 Cokes that they've had today that are, that's another couple 100 grams of carbohydrates. They're not thinking about, the sandwich with the bread and then the chips and then maybe the French fries and then, the slice of pie at dinner. And they're not thinking about all of these things that they're eating on a daily basis that just add up so fast. Not to mention the people's confusion with calories. Are calories important? That's debatable. Some people live and die by calories. And some people, we're never going to get them out of that mindset. So if somebody lives and dies by calories, how do you get them to build a program around calories? Sometimes I think about this and I'm like, I'm going back to bed, because this is ridiculous. It's going to take so much. And Lindy's answering my questions, taking it day by day, just trying to make it until my surgery date in July. Well, that's crazy that it's so far away. And I hope and I wish you the best, and just know that we think about you and that we're pulling for you. And I hope you find ways to get through and not be so bad, And Mr. Biscuit says, I eat 3 to 4 eggs a day. I rotate between pasture and the cheapest depending on sales. I just eat the cheapest we can get. I just do, And Sean says, Dustin, when you go from spending $300 a month on medicine to $500 a month on eating out and fast food to $600 a month on junk food, eating beef is cheap. Yeah, but again, you have to get people to the point where they can eat those foods to get off the medications. And you got to remember that getting people to stop eating out and getting things delivered and getting the lowest common denominator of ready-made food is difficult, because that's $6, $11, $14, $1,400 a month spent on medicine and food. Where eating beef would be, it is cheaper, but it's a mental game we have to play. It's a mental game that we have to play, and we have to be able to finesse people into looking at things in a manner that they can understand. Not everybody's going to understand it the same way that we do. Again, week after week, we come here and I sit here and I talk to all of you, and all of you have been doing this for so long that you're all ready and willing to do whatever it takes to do what's best for you. But again, we're talking about people who have zero understanding how important it is what you eat and how that impacts how you feel. So coming at anybody being like, well, you eat 1,000, you're eating 1,000 carbohydrates a day, going to Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and you're eating McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and doing all these things. You're going to this, that, and the other, and you're eating, you're going and eating a burrito bowl with like 2 scoops of black beans and 2 scoops of rice, and that's like 400, that's like 200 grams of carbs right there, whatever, with a big old tortilla. And then, then you're adding the chips and salsa on the side. And then you're going to tell them to go straight to carnivore and just eat meat and eggs? That sounds like pure insanity. People are not going to listen to going that extreme that fast. You're going to get a few. The few because we see them here. We see them in these chats. You guys are the few, the proud, the people who are willing to do what it takes. You're willing to take the chance and risk things and take the chance on yourself, on your health. But we have to remember the average person is totally okay to get an injection in their butt without ever trying anything else first. Again, I'm not demonizing the shot in the butt. I'm just saying the fact that the people who are here who have found that helps them tried a lot else first. It wasn't their first thing they go to. The same thing with weight loss surgery. People in this room, people here in this chat, some have tried weight loss surgery and realized that didn't even work for them. And they still had to come here. So those are just things that I think that we need to remember and keep at the front of our minds when we are talking to new people, when we are trying to do the recruiting, when we are trying to get someone, our loved ones, or someone we may know in passing to do better. Because we all know somebody who needs it. We all know somebody who's refusing to do it. We all know people. I have people living in my house. I have people that I have loved for years, been friends with 25 years who refuse, even if it would help them get off a medication that's dangerous. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? Nagging never fixes anything. Yeah, I do see bison. Yeah, bison's another one that I didn't think about bison, but bison's also like ground bison's the same price as steak. So it's hard to like, I'm going to get ground bison when I can get a strip steak or a ribeye for that price. Yeah, Smoothie's right. If you shop Whole Foods, read the labels, loads of shenanigans. That's like, at Fresh Time. Fresh Time was one of those places that was all supposed to be, the better foods, but then it got bought by Meijer, and now you go in there, there's regular Doritos. It started as organic Cheetos and organic Doritos. And now they just have regular Doritos in there, regular soda. They sell Pepsi and Coke. So, yeah. Evelyn says, I've had elk and bear and goat and alligator and lots of others. My dad was a great hunter when I was young, so we had a restaurant. So he had a restaurant that served interesting meats in our hometown. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't even know if my information's correct here because it says I only have 19 people watching. So, that's okay. I don't know if I'm getting all the numbers and what's going on, if it's live. Because it says that I have 48 people watching here on YouTube, but then it has 19 people total watching, 19 on YouTube and no one else watching anywhere else. So I think my streaming stuff is all wrong here. So, again, I apologize for that. And Sonny, and Sonny knows, then we get back into the whole baby formula thing, like baby formula pricing based on ingredients and production cost is a racket. Yeah, because they're using the cheapest baseline product of ingredients, and they're charging premium prices. And it is irritating. Sonny says it's irritating to me because the ingredients are so subpar for our growing babies, but the price is so overpriced. $75 for a can of formula. I don't know if we've paid that much. I think we're paying $35 to $45 for what we're using. And I think it's just a matter of where you find it. I think Target has a good price on what we're using, so she buys it at Target. And Kathy says, most hunters, my husband hunts and stocks the fridge. He will process it, but take it to a butcher to make into chopped steaks, bologna, mix and full. Yeah, that's not, I would like it. Yeah, but the average human being, the average human doesn't have the time, the wherewithal, or the knowledge on how to hunt. And Brian says that they like my logo. I appreciate that so much. I really do. And Mr. Biscuit says, so many good channels. I used to watch at first, morph into late night infomercials. I did some pruning this year to stay focused. And a lot of their content is focused on general protocols, less value. And I think even for this channel, I think I'm looking at some of the content that I'm looking to make as far as long form content. Again, my goal is to help the masses. So I will be putting out content that does focus on the beginner, that does focus on people who are not as knowledgeable as us. And hopefully that draws people in. And then you all, my wonderful, wonderful, steady fan base, then you, my loyal followers, can help and help guide, right? And I think, it's just one of those things. Hopefully I can make content. Yeah. Hopefully I can make content that draws more people in. Hopefully just the idea of how easy things can be, how easy it is to start. I'm looking at making, because I've been doing this for 10 years. So I've got a 10-year doing this video kind of coming up. Talk about it. Where, what is it? What's 10 years of real world living this lifestyle actually mean? I think that's important to talk about, because it's not a perfect, I started 10 years ago and now I'm where I want to be in life. Very rarely do things in life work out that way. Does that mean that this lifestyle isn't extremely valuable and important? Absolutely not. But again, people will look and go, well, you've been doing keto for so long. Why do you still look the way that you do? Well, and that's where these videos can come in handy. So I think, there's different things like shorts serve a purpose. These live streams serve a purpose. Long form content serves a purpose, and hopefully I'm able to weave all of these forms of content and provide a channel that helps a lot of people, mix that with health coaching and all that. And I don't know, that's my whole goal. And Andy's on her way out to go explore Germany. I hope you have the best time. I truly do. And Mr. Biscuit says, love it. That's definitely me in the before picture. It's a lot of us. I was ready to give up. I really, really was. And Mr. Biscuit says, I feel you on the concert tickets last night. For my last show was 2019. Yeah, I went to a show like in November of 2019 in Chicago, and then I saw something in March, like right before everything shut down of 2020. And you could kind of feel like something was about to happen. And then, obviously some things started to come back, and now it's just, what a show that used to be $15, $20 is now $30 to $50. And it's like, it's a little bit harder. I don't really have a full steady, income. So, and Brian says, I would love to do the coaching. I think supporting people that have gone through the training and helping people to get better, but there is no way I can afford it, but I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I am also looking for ways. How can I build a business and make money to where I can help the individuals and not have to charge as much for the individuals? There's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of things that's going to take me time because, I grew up low income, and I want to be able to help people who are low income, and I want to be able to help people who need me regardless of how much money they have. But I'm also creating a business, so obviously it's like, as an example, Tesla built the first Roadster, and it cost, $100,000+, $200,000, whatever it was. Then they came out with the Model S and the Model X, and they're very expensive. Had to sell a lot of those to get to the Model 3 and the Y. They were lower cost. You kind of have to do that. I'm probably going to charge quite a bit in the beginning to get things off the ground, and then hopefully I will be able to work in other avenues and do more broad-based, just the things that I want to do. And I want to say hi to Lance today. And Lance is here saying good morning. Yeah. And again, we say hi to Booby Goats. Miss Erin is here. Probably gone already. Retired Rick. And Terry Girl is here. Good morning, dear. And Evelyn says they gave my daughter sugar water before she had breast milk because my sugars were low. I was angry. Oh, yeah. Truth, that's a violation of the Geneva Convention on Informed Consent. Is the hospital or the mother, the baby's advocate, or caregiver? Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if it's still the same way now. I don't know what the deal is now. But Chris Cook in Nashville is here. Good morning, sir. I hope you and Ash are doing well, and that wonderful, wonderful Mel, the best pupper dog. I saw you guys had a great creek-end. Hope that was enjoyable. And Jerry's in the house. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning. Just woke up on a great topic. Thank you, dear. Thank you. And Reese is in the house. I had a little breast milk and had to feed my son formula. I blame the formula companies for my son and his addiction to carbs. It was my fault for giving it, but I had little. Yeah, I think there's the thing we kind of get into a situation where what do? You can't let your baby starve. And then what you're looking for out there is so there's not a lot of choice. There's a lot of illusion of choice, but there's no real choice. Even when you're looking at like Bobby and all these bougie brands that they show on TikTok and Instagram, and I see a lot of the ads for those things, and I still see them as not being what they should be. Yeah, and Risa says, and the things are shifting to me, so I may be missing lots and lots and lots of comments here, and I apologize for that. But it looks like Patricia Butler is here, and Risa says that ShopRite used to sell bison for $7 a pound. Now it's $13 a pound. Or Costco used to sell 3 packs of bison for less than $20. Now I can't find it at all. Any of the 3 that I go to, only grass-fed and regular. Let's see. Just watch the meat sales and buy the best. That's what we do. We went and we bought a bunch. We bought 16 pounds of steaks from Meijer when they opened the new store by our house because they were $9 a pound, And Brian said it's a Finlandia wet sauna. Oh, I like that because I want to sweat. Sweat, baby, 1, 2, 3. And then it said bought 10 years ago and love it. And Patricia Butler is here. And Risa also says, Dustin, you still may need to lose weight, but you're completely different metabolically, completely different inside because of keto, and that is an important thing. Yeah, and I mean, I do feel so much better than I ever did before. And Brian has his own DIY sauna. I'd like to do that. I just like that, just a wood sauna. I just want, I see these ones you can build the kits and stuff. I'd love that. And Risa says the last concert was 2008, the Rolling Stones on the Boardwalk in Atlantic City. First concert we took our son to. That's a crazy one, though. And Angie says this way of eating is so much more than weight loss. Weight loss is a side effect of eating the way and feeling better. 100%. And Mr. Biscuit says, I don't mind rehearing general information. It's when the rest of the content is buy this product or pay for this community subscription. There's no value in it for me anymore, right? And Rick is here. Rick is here. There's our Rick. How you doing, buddy? Rick is here.
Let's get dangerous.
And he says that Teslas are junk. Teslas are junk, yet they can last 500,000 miles. Maybe even 1 million. Some of them, there's a couple of Teslas up there that have hit 1 million miles. Not a lot of gas cars doing that. And I'm not as much of a Tesla fanboy as I used to be. I am still invested in the company. But and I think what they're doing is very important, because there's obviously going to be a transition to an electrification transition. And I think they still have the better offerings than a lot of the other bigger manufacturers. But yeah. And Angie says, Dustin, I like the way that you communicate, or I like your way of talking to people. You teach them and tell them the why. That's important. I think that is so very valuable, because it's hard to get somebody to do what they need to do if they don't know why. And it's like my son was like, why? Why seed oils? And it's like, and it's a very difficult thing to explain. Because, yeah, we can say that there's inflammation issues and there's this, that, and the other, but he's not going to understand it until he's experienced it. Because, I mean, we still use seed oils for a long time when we started our keto journey. We were still utilizing, the lowest carb salad dressings we could find, the Italians and the things like that. And trying to find the best and lowest carbs when we could find. And, we weren't necessarily paying any attention to seed oils. That came a little later. Because I'm not quite sure when the seed oil conversation started, when it came to, like, we knew butter right away, to get away from margarine and eat butter. But the rest of the seed oils, maybe a year or two later. It wasn't day one for sure. It was a little later. And Booby Goat says, I went to our local Save-A-Lot. They had New York strips, $5.99 a pound. They had full strips for $80. I bought one and got 20 steaks out of it. That's awesome. Well, I think if you're basing new cars on old cars, like, the cars that you are currently running, they're made of full steel. I don't think a lot of cars are going to make it. I don't think a lot of cars, because they're not designed to. I think that the thing about Teslas is their drivetrains are going to far outlast the bodies. The battery, if the batteries are conditioned and treated the way they're supposed to be, you can see a degradation of the battery over, just a few percent over multi-years and lots of miles. And I think that's important to look at. I don't know if Teslas will be, Tesla will probably be around in 28 years, but those cars aren't designed to last that length of time. They're looked at as how many miles can you get out of them. And, I think about, like, I put hundreds of thousands of miles on my car driving to and from work and never even drove it on vacation. Just the daily grind of driving. You know what I mean? Will they last 50 years? I don't know. But can they last 200, 300, 400,000 miles? Yes. And I know that there's always going to be people who don't want electric cars, but it's the same thing. It's like, I don't really see much of a choice in the long run. And Kathy says, I watch many channels. I come back here because I'm not being told how to, but options. And I think that's important. I think, there's there's a lot of there has to be options because there's not one way to do something. The one way for you is what is easiest, most convenient, and and provides you the ability to find consistency. Because consistency is where you're going to find results. And Chris says there are still people who don't know about seed oils. I had a commenter get very angry about my spreadable butter mayo, calling it keto, because they said the mayo in the store is too wild. Now, I would argue that mayo in the stores that doesn't have sugar in it qualifies as keto, right? Because you can get into ketosis, you can get most of the way there, right? With those things. But again, because what we're talking about is the fact that is the seed oil discussion a day one issue? If you're trying to get someone who doesn't know anything about this community just to take an overall look of what they're eating on a day-to-day basis, is seed oils or should seed oils be a day one discussion? And I was saying that I don't think it should be. Now, in a perfect world, yes, we would stop eating all the refined carbohydrates. We wouldn't eat all of the things, and we would stop seed oils day one. Just go clean, single ingredient. But this is the real world, and I think we have to, again, meet people where they are, because people have fridges and pantries loaded with this stuff. And the idea of being the way that we did things in the beginning of go through, sort everything out of our pantry, give things away, throw things away, donate things, is likely, especially in this economy, is not going to be how people do it now. They're going to go through freezers of stuff that they're going to want to get rid of. They're going to be wanting to do their pantries and whatever they've got, because they've got people have so much food in their pantries they don't even realize. Think about people who have stuff in the back of their pantry, maybe from 1985. I mean, maybe that's a joke, but in some sense, it's real. Yeah. And Brian says, Chris, I've had people lose their stuff, seed oils, while talking about sardines. And I mean, the thing is, like, it's hard to find a seed oil, sardines that have seed oils in them. It's hard to find just regular, olive oil. We don't even know how pure all the olive oil is that we have. The avocado oil. It's crazy. Like, they're trying to find whatever it is, right? And Chris says, for the average person, it doesn't matter day one. This wasn't a day one person. This was an angry keto veteran assuming I was claiming store-bought mayo wasn't keto because I created this recipe. Well, I mean, I would say, obviously, like, when we look at our community, I mean, I think about the level of comments that I get, too. Like, the level of comments we get is also, we have to build in the troll factor, right? The short video that I have out that's gotten 2 million views or whatever, right, is I still get people on a daily basis being like, that's ground up human, right? That's what they're selling. You wonder why you don't see a lot of cadaver. I'm like, what do you mean? Really? Like, oh, people have had it tested and there's human DNA in those tubes. Bruh. Like, come on. Really? That's the thing. It's like, yeah. I mean, and the crazy thing is if you look at a recipe, if you look at one of Chris's recipe, Chris is showing you how to make the best possible thing. Chris shows you how to make the best possible iteration of what you're looking at. Best to his ability. He shows you how to make butter mayo. I think you've even shown how to make, I don't know, you may or may not have the video where it talks about how to make bacon mayo, bacon grease mayo, whatever. So, like, people don't always, like, they just want to buy their Hellmann's, they want to buy whatever it is, and they get upset. I mean, in a perfect world, we get rid of seed oils. Hopefully, one of these days we do. You know? But I mean, I just found out something that avocados are such a cash fruit that they are being controlled. Now, I don't know how true or how deep this runs, but avocado sourcing is being run by the cartels. I'm like, oh my goodness. So like, you don't even know like what's going on with that and the pricing, and yeah, it's crazy. But yeah. I mean, do we use olive oil? I think we have some. I buy Chosen Foods avocado oil from Costco because I find like mixing a little bit of avocado oil with my butter in the morning. I like the way my eggs come out. I like it. You know? So, you know, we buy avocado oil. We don't really buy olive oil anymore. I think our kids do, but they still buy Miracle Whip and things like that. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Take that information with what you will, right? So, yeah. But I mean, again, trying to make sure, because I mean, you can look at your labels all day long when it comes to olive oil, and it could say pure, but it may not be. But I think with that, it's 2 hours into this day. I think we're going to call it a day, my friends. I think this is where I leave you today. And I mean, in avocados, I don't have a problem with avocados. I don't have a problem with avocado oil. I use avocado mayo. I use avocado oil mayo, the Chosen Foods mayo, to make my waffles. I don't have an issue with that. I made the mistake of calling my waffles Carnivore, but utilized a mayonnaise that was made out of avocado oil. People were like, it's not real Carnivore. Eggs, gelatin, and some mayonnaise, which is eggs and oil. That's about, I think, realistically for most people, about as carnivore a waffles you're ever going to get. But anyway, thank you all so very much for being here today. I truly appreciate you. Again, don't forget to be on the lookout for the new salty flavor coming. The salty flavor is coming. What's the date of that one? I had a thing here. Where is it? It's coming out on the 20th, May 20th. One of you guessed it correctly, but I'm not going to tell you which one, but you did guess it correctly. But again, at the end of the day, I think the most powerful thing we can do is continue living our lives in the way that speaks for itself. Not fearfully, not defensively, not constantly talking about who or what might be against us, because we are up against an inconceivable amount of issues and things to overcome. We talked a lot about those things today. The baby formula industry, seed oils, just marketing in general, the way people perceive food, the fact that most people do not consider the foods they eat having any impact on their health in any kind of meaningful way. So, regardless of what we are up against, we have to be confident, consistent, but in a way that makes people curious instead of uncomfortable. Because that's what we need. We need curiosity. Hopefully we can start to transition people and create that curiosity long before they're desperate. Again, a lot of the people that we see coming to our community are coming here out of desperation. They've tried everything, and this is the last resort because they think it might be the most dangerous thing to do. But because of what we do, what we offer, what we show on a day-to-day basis, because when people see the real changes that we are putting forth, the stories that we tell, not just the weight loss, but the energy, the happiness, the sustainability, they start to pay attention. Now, they may not be fully ready to ask, to commit, to even reach out, But that's how movements grow anyway, right? Just getting them to pay attention, to start thinking about what they're doing on their end, right? And not through outrage, but through visible results and approachable people. Just being approachable, being good, down to earth people, willing to share your stories honestly. And as I move into this next chapter with health coaching and all the things, this channel, like as I said, will continue to grow, but I'm not going to be utilizing it as a direct vehicle to promote the health coaching. I'm not going to make videos about health coaching. That's not the plan. As I did say that I would be sponsoring my own content as a health coach. My health coach business will sponsor some of the videos. And so I don't have to go outside looking for other sponsorships and be sponsored by products that I don't believe in, that don't bring value to you. Again, I'm trying to make sure that this is a space that grows organically and builds momentum with love, compassion, understanding, and the ability to help others for no other reason than just to help them because they need it. And with that, I love each and every one of you, and I will say good night, good morning, whatever, wherever you are in the world, whatever time you're watching this replay. I do love you very much. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Again, thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties, the late start. But I will see you again Tuesday, along with some shorts, some long-form videos, so be on the lookout for that. And again, May 20th, the new salty flavor will drop, so be on the lookout for that. Be ready. And thank you. And I'll see you later.